You know, these days it seems to be that being a passport bro has something to do with desperation as well for some people within the community. I'm gonna mainly focus on the Chinese community, the Chinese people. Now, China hasn't recovered yet from the one child policy. It's still struggling with it. And since there is a equality aspect if it comes to the work prospect, it means that a lot of women are making career, meaning that the expectations and the delay of pregnancy and the expectations of a partner that makes on a high level or on a higher level is in wide demand amongst a lot of women. Then we have the other part where there are women that are available and not high in expectations but do not want to marry men because they see men as inappropriate because they're not emotionally available. There is a disconnect, there is a problem, they can't bond, so they prefer to have a romantic relationship with their besties instead, with their bestie or their besties instead. Now, the thing is that China or Chinese men in general that reside in rural China made the decision to scan Africa for potential brides. We all know that the majority of a lot of African countries are Islamic by default, but there also are a lot of countries within Africa that are Christian, right? So that makes it easier for a Chinese man to pick up a bride since they both reside within marital contractual marriages and they both keep with traditionalism or they seek traditionalism. It's easy to meet halfway. And since money in China goes way further than money in Africa, then of course any type of dowry you put down, whether it's the minimum or the maximum, will always be accepted. The thing I do not like about this is mainly that a lot of Chinese men with basically nothing going for them, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm just trying to point something out of importance, is that they would literally pay zero to nothing for a woman that's on a very high scale if it comes to physical beauty and attractiveness and personality and traditionalism. Well, it's basically priceless because it's worth gold. They will pay basically nothing, less than minimum monthly wage, to accumulate that woman, to bring that woman to their home country, to lie and to tell them that they will help them build their country economically, financially wise, and support their family because they have more to give, more to bring on that level. But then once they're there, they're like, oh, I changed my mind. I'd rather have you stay and conform to our way of living, culture, language, and traditions. So imagine that. You've been sold a lie and a promise that they would help you boost the economy in your home country so you could stay and support your family as tradition says, cultural tradition says, whether it's Islamic or whether it's Christian. But then at the same time, you're doing your best to be a good wife, but he never intended to give you that. He only wanted someone that's coincidentally a woman, that's coincidentally traditional, and that's coincidentally observant, and definitely bounded by a marriage contract, and doesn't believe in divorce because a woman isn't allowed to divorce, right? So there you've got a big problem. What he knew and he calculated, and that's where I call tactics like that scumbag asshole tactics that I do not like. I don't like that. That gives people, men that do passport broing, a bad name. You've got people that understand the concept that relocate, reestablish, and establish. That's the right way. The wrong way is taking the woman out of her habitat or home environment and completely changing her to fit your narrative. Do you truly believe and honestly believe that woman's gonna stay and stick around with you? No, she's not. Why? Well, very simple, because if you can't keep up with your promises, why would she do it? And she also realizes in a matter of time that you're making money because you're exploiting her at the same time because of her skin tone and her background or cultural heritage. You can basically apply or reapply for another wife that's Chinese. And as we all know, there has always been a preference for the same ethnicity and nationality. There is no problem with that, but that proves that a woman is being used for whatever agenda. I do not like when people play a part where they pretend to go in one direction but actually already going in the other direction because they never intended to go in that one direction. That's something that's the worst of the worst. These people, these men, do not deserve this type of women in marriage. These women are way too pricey, they're way too high on that scale, because it's not because they come out of poverty, it's not because they have no opportunities and chances, that's the way you can exploit them, by using it for your own selfish, greedy needs. You have nothing to offer physically, financially, in any level. You have no business being married with any woman whatsoever.